Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6, and just in between recording last episode and this episode, doing both on the same day, someone posted a question on one of the Hearts of Iron 4 videos that I did, which is better, Hearts of Iron or Black Ice for 4 or for 3, and I said, and so did some other poster, by far Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice is much better today than the Hearts of Iron 4 version. And I think Panzeru has said it, would say that, would agree with that, whatever, in the recent past. But as he will point out, and as I'm pointing out too, is, this has had, 4 or 5 years of work by untold number of modders, and especially if you throw in us sub-modders, lots of contributions to it. That's why this is better. What I do think is, in 4 or 5 years, because this is, even if the crew that's continuing with this is going to continue to improve it, they've plateaued out. Quite honestly, even if they don't want to admit it, they plateaued out. Not that they can't make things better, not that they can't continue to rebalance stuff a little better and come up with a new this or a new that, but they've plateaued out. What Hearts of Iron 4 is just so much potential, and it's going to be, in whether it takes 4 or 5 years or whatever it takes, it will be much better than this, to the point that unless you're got a computer too old or whatever, you're going to want to play the newer version. So this right now is better. Okay, we talked about, this will not be a long diatribe episode to most of yours liking, so we talked about this. So we get benefit from French workers for a year. And the Gneisenau, I was wondering why there was the ship up there, but this is the event behind it. Okay, Gneisenau has been launched. Host. Okay, this is, I believe in Eastern Europe. This castle still exists, more or less repaired, modernized, whatever. In, I believe, what is today Poland, if I have that correct. And it was meant to sort of be an Eastern, so I've learned about it only recently, quite honestly, even after seeing it in this event. Sort of an Eastern, in this sort of parts of the world. I think maybe in a region that, I think maybe down in here. What province? Fewer construction. Wetzlar. Where's Wetzlar? No, it's somewhere here, I think. No, that's Breslau. Maybe it's... Oh man, well, somewhere, if I have this right. Not terribly important, but meant to be sort of an Eastern palace for the Fuhrer in sort of the immediate government, with an underground, way down this level, Fuhrer bunker type setup. Well, now this is saying it's in... Maybe I'm mistaken this for something else, because it's saying it's Ardennes offensive. Okay, maybe this is... I was looking at the picture of it. Maybe this is a different thing that I'm thinking of. So, somebody wants to post the correct thing that I'm thinking of. I don't know. I'm looking for something with a W here. Maybe partially. No, it obviously isn't it. Here. Okay. No, well, then this is not what I'm thinking of. So I don't know if this is the wrong castle that I'm thinking of, or this looks vaguely similar, and I don't know, like, because there was something that was built out here that was built. Okay, so we can do this. We get the biggest thing here is IC down by 5% until October 2nd, 19. So for 30 days, get some air bases. Not that big a deal. Anti-aircraft gun, nice, but again, not that big a deal. Radar station, that's a little bit of a deal. Fortress, yeah, I remember as Britain trying to invade, running into this and a few other fortresses. For 9 until October 2nd, 1940, reduced organization. %5 of, it's way too much. Because I'm not invading the Soviet Union, obviously I'm fighting it. Getting ready to fight in Norway and Yugoslavia, so it'll hurt a little bit, but not that much. They're not that strong. Nope, sorry, no, not building it for that. That's just 5% doesn't sound like a lot, and this is one thing that modders, including myself, and this is why I'm using it less and less, and using the sort of the supply thing is 5% of 100, 5 ICs for a month. Sure, I would have paid that in a heartbeat for all of that stuff, and it may be a bit too cheap for the fortresses, because I don't think it should be Fortress 10. That's sort of overkill. Fortress 2, Fortress 3, maybe. Some radar, some airbase, yeah, sure, that's nice. So 5 or 10 ICs for a month. Okay, yep, we're going to do this since we already paid for it. And 500 money, 500 supplies. Yeah, we'll do this as a, see if we get a better division of it now. But remember to come down here. This is a reminder to all of you, as well as myself. Move these all to the top. Get them done super fast. Get air bases in the east. Mostly you're just waiting for these guys to get there and then fuel to show up. And these guys to get right to here is what we're doing. Also waiting for. And since they're right to there, let's go Norway. Again, will probably be a bit harder fight because we didn't do it through an event that reduces their national unity. So let's declare war on them to conquer. Yes. Now. Invasion. Right there. I believe I'll be able to, I have the airborne units here to drop on them if I wish, but I also believe that I think we'll be able to get ashore in enough time. Be able to air supply them, convert ocean liners to troop ships. Okay, gain and descent 7 liners to be placed in the production queue. The only thing that really bothers me is the descent, but yeah, I guess we'll take that. And gotta move these up front very fast, very rapidly, so that I figured this just sort of means adding anti-aircraft guns and other fun things. You know what we're gonna do though? I'm going to send these to the bottom. So I don't want these to happen and readjust. September. Hopefully they won't readjust. Well, these will. Well, I didn't really need to do that because these are going to happen before that. Well, we'll see. That could be a little bit of a little bit more expensive. SS tank destroyer brigades, as I said in the alt series. The SS though did not use any of the Oliphant / Ferdinands as anti, or as in the didn't use those as purely an army. SS Jaegers, yes. Or Brigade Mountain Troops, yes. Fall Felix. Okay, this was a plan to take out Gibraltar. We can start training for it. All that it does is cost us some supplies and a little bit of money and gain us a little bit of assault weapons and mountain unit bonuses. This is just a training program to do it, or no need, might as well. Just sort of a way to, you know, pay a little bit. Okay, Field Marshal Ceremony. This is an important thing. They're really you talk, I don't know, Falkenhurst or whatever, an Austrian field marshal that transfers over into Germany. There were sort of, and Goering was a field marshal, okay, and sort of an Air Force or Luftwaffe field marshal. This here is the ceremony to create all of these guys field marshals. And they're all named here. Now, this is the picture of the army, though Goering is there, of course, but Kesselring, I don't think is there. I don't see him. But all of the army guys that are there, well, Milch, because I do believe there's another photo that I have with, I don't know that I don't think I created an event for it. It has Sparrow and Kesselring and some of the other Luftwaffe guys in a different ceremony. But this ceremony creates these field marshals. They get to have this field marshal's flag, and they get to walk around carrying this baton wherever they go. And this goes, I believe, back to the Caesars. Napoleon definitely handed out batons. They're really beautiful batons. Most of them have survived. Some of them are in museums, some of them are in private hands. But they're really beautiful things. This is obviously before, this is all for the Battle of France, so Rommel's not one of them. This creates all these, and this is in the Reichschancellery in Berlin, in the sort of Hitler's sort of main office space there. Sort of ceremony they got into to keep there, so gain some of that, cost money making the batons, supplies for the big stuff going on. So we're going to keep the generals happy. And this is the other important thing that's going on here. Goering only at this time now becomes Reich Marshal Goering. He had been a field marshal. And there is a field marshal, it's a Luftwaffe flag. It's a Luftwaffe baton, and that's pre-war. And so he had been a field marshal, or whatever it was called, air marshal or something. I don't know if it's actually called air marshal, maybe just called a field marshal. But the flag is an in-flight eagle, and it's all Luftwaffe. But notice there's no, other than the blue, there's nothing Luftwaffe about this. He's now Reich Marshal. He is created here because now, in the event of Hitler's death, and I said one of the reasons promotion was so that in the event of Hitler's death, a clear line of succession from the military would already have been established. Goering is now, this is, I believe after the Deputy Führer Hess has gone to Britain, but I'm not absolutely sure of the date on that. But Hess, even if he was around, may have been a successor to Hitler in a political sense. This makes Goering Hitler's military successor, and number 2 militarily. He is now above the Oberkommando des Heers and des Wehrmacht, or what, and all the thing. He is above the rest of the military establishment. He outranks all of that. So it goes Hitler, Goering, and then the Wehrmacht establishment within the Kriegsmarine, the Luftwaffe, and the Heer, the army. So he is above all of that. And so part of that is the sort of army stylized eagle, in that it's, you know, landed and rested while holding the wreath around the swastika. So as opposed to the sort of in-flight Luftwaffe style, because he's no longer just the Luftwaffe. Also notice the collar patches. It's now a crossed batons. It's no longer any sort of Luftwaffe type. Still wearing a Luftwaffe uniform, but he's no longer the Luftwaffe commander. He is now the armed forces commander under Hitler. Hitler obviously had lots and lots of close calls to death in assassinations. There was one assassination attempt for one of the beer hall push commemorative ceremonies that that they foiled well before they found. I think they found the bombs that had been played. There's a bunch of these things that you get sort of close to coming off, but that don't. And then obviously the famous one with von Stauffenberg, who blew up the room that Hitler was in. But there's a lot of these things going, and so this is if Hitler's airplane crashes, or there's an assassination attempt, or there's an army coup attempt, or whatever it may be. Goering is the next military leader. Now, for the most part, even though now he's above all the army establishment, he does not run the war. It is more of a status change, like I say, so that if Hitler's gone or incapacitated or whatever, he's mainly still just running, if you will, and we can talk about how much it was or wasn't on a day-to-day basis, but running the Luftwaffe. So even though he's now above in rank, position, above everybody else in the armed forces, he, in a practical sense, he isn't running, but obviously he has lots and lots and lots of influence and contact with Hitler all the time. So his views, oh, I'll be able to fly all the supplies to Stalingrad, no problem, keep them there, and so Hitler listens to him and things like that, as opposed to the reality, I can't possibly send enough supplies to keep it alive, so either it's going to die in place or you've got to have it fight out. I mean, I don't know what Hitler would have done if very early in that thing is, and I'll fly what I can to help them fight out, or I'll fly what I can and to make them last as long as they can, but they're either going to die in place or they're going to fight their way out. Those are your only two choices, mein Führer. He obviously didn't say that. He said, yes, I can supply them. At least that's my understanding of what his position was on the Stalingrad pocket when it first sort of happened. So, he's very, very, very influential, but in a practical sense is not running the military show either directly under Hitler or not. But so this is why he's now Reich Marshal. So he is sort of above all of these command levels, if you will. So this is an important thing. And this I didn't know until I started making mods for this. I just thought Reich Marshal was sort of his Luftwaffe Marshal thing, but he's raised up above them. They're the marshals. And he's also, you can't really, and I didn't, the swastika, it just doesn't show up well. There is a swastika there. You can see it a little better there on that close-up. That's just a close-up of that color photo. That's an actual period during the war, during the time color photo of, not a colorized photo, actual color photo of Hermann Goering. He is given the Grand Cross of the Iron Cross. I think it was uniquely given to him, unless there was somebody else was given it at the end of the war, but I think it was basically unique. So to give him a, because he had the Blue Max or Pour le Mérite from World War I. He had one of the other, and I think that may also be a World War I Iron Cross. The Iron Cross was, I'm going to get this wrong, so excuse me, it was maybe like the Prussian award, and the Pour le Mérite was like a Bavarian award, both handed out by the Kaiser, but the World War I German army was sort of a weird, sort of like the British Army was with all their different sort of regimental tribes and sub-organizations. But so he had a bunch of these other things. And so this is above the Knight's Cross with whatever, oak leaves and diamonds, and that was normally given out. He was given this Grand Cross, and I believe it was unique to him. Maybe they gave it out to somebody at the very end of the war, but I don't think so. Now, sort of the interesting thing is, and I don't know if I say it in here, is Goering, well, yeah, this is really cool, but it didn't show up much, and so I don't know if you can really shows up well. He had the outside edges of it platinumed, the sort of bright shiny metal, silver, whatever it was, wasn't bright and shiny enough. He needed it brighter and shinier and flashier, so he had it overlaid in platinum. So it's this big, huge cross now, but now with a platinum accent around it. So flashy. So he needed more flash than everybody else, which is interesting. It's sort of the aesthetic, monk-like nature of Hitler living in, the Berghaus at, in Bavaria there. It is a pretty big and pretty nice house for most average people, but is no Reichschancellor that Hitler did want for representing Germany. But I believe the Karen Hall of Goering was much larger. He wasn't trying to live in a palace, because there were palaces around that Hitler could have lived in, old outdated ones, or he could have had a new National Socialist palace made for him that he wanted to live in. No, he was happy in his mountain home. It's a really ritzy, nice home, but it isn't huge, it isn't grand, it isn't made for, hundreds of hangers-on that are all high-ranking, handling around him. So he's sort of this monk-like figure that's sort of his natural wants is sort of simple. Again, if you think this is somehow admiring, I'm talking about Hitler's psyche and viewpoint, where Goering wants big, grand medals and uniforms and all this stuff, even though he has all this power too. See, Hitler realizes, I think, the point is he has the power, he doesn't need the flash. And Goering, I think, realizes he has the power, but he also wants the flash, which is different. And they both come from middle classist backgrounds. They weren't from upper levels of society. Goering isn't a von, isn't one of the old upper or lower aristocracies. I believe he was from Berlin area, Goering was. But so he wants all the flash, and I thought that was an interesting story to it. That's sort of some of the story behind all of that and why. But that's important. Unfortunately, I can't easily go in and, by event, uprank these guys, so you guys can look at the list if you want to uprank, give them all Field Marshal status, though of course it may make them harder to command lower level units, but okay. New industrial zone, create historical Panzer HQs, yes. We're going to lose a few HQs, but they're going to go up, yes, we want these, some supplies. And Scharnhorst has been launched and is actually now helping with the invasion of Norway. Okay, we've got, these are going, you notice they've jumped from 5 ICs to 6.8, but they're coming up very fast, so that'll be fine. So now what we want to do is all of these things that I move down, because they're not going to go up anymore, I don't think, than that. They're almost done. We'll move all these to the top. I was just sort of worried that these would jump to 10 or 20 ICs, but nothing I guess I could really do to that, even for the few days, but they're going to be done fast. And let's look at our technology here. Well, just one more, a little bit more. We only have one squadron. That I don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, we could do that. And these are sort of the additional well, maybe a little 10th Army, a little more historical. Now, before I forget about it, let's find those historical ones that we just created. Probably find them on the map, but this may be the faster way to get there. Okay. Panzer Group Kleist. Now we may have lost. Well, no, there's that still there, but we may lose it if the time. Sometimes it takes a little bit. I'm just sending these guys down south here for the moment, because that's the next field of action, and then we can send them east. And this is one of the reasons I wanted them, because I remembered that, look, they got a light armored battalion, light or SP artillery, as part of them, if you don't want to use them as fighting headquarters, you don't have to. You can break them. You can leave, if you want to just leave the, you know, the HQ almost alone and just move these others into other divisions, other units. I think these aren't the historical ones. These are just those additional motorized ones. They're in the 10th Army here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe these are. Yeah, these are nice, but we're going to leave those there. I guess those are the historical ones. This is a division event chain, and it's various support units. We'll head them here. Don't know if you'll get there in time to be of any use. Panzer headquarters. We don't need that right now. The drops. Okay. Now, let's go there. Like I say, even though I'm not taking a port, just partially because I figure the ports are garrisoned. Might as well get these guys ashore, and then I can fly in supplies if I can't quickly take a port. Yes, we want to activate this unit. It's also part of another event chain. Okay, this is one of the reasons I wanted to sort of also play a more historical path, because it's been so long since I played this mod that I made. And one of the reasons why I'm not going to be doing a Sea Lion anytime soon. Not that I'm not going to invade Britain. I'm just not doing it before a Soviet invasion kind of thing. I want to clean up the Mediterranean, try to create Fortress Europe, etc. But we're going to leave Britain for a while. Again, if this series goes on and we're going to do it eventually, I will invade, like I did in my last series. But I'm not going to go for... Obviously, I've already started moving my armies east, but I could have gone for it. Nah, I do have saves, so I might be talked into just, well, what if I tried an invasion like I did for another alt thing? I could, like I say, I do have saves from, you know, the collapse of France, and I could have moved on Britain as well at some point. So if there's interest, I might do that. But this is Allo. That sort of bad English accent of hello, French trying to speak it, and the War Diaries of René Artois. That's this guy. Okay, well, way back when I was growing up on PBS, they showed this comedy that was a parody on the series Secret Army, which is a Belgian-based TV series on the resistance movement, as well as the movement of trying to get pilots out, smuggled out of, you know, down pilots out of Europe back to Britain. So it's a comedy. I highly recommend it if you like the sort of English farce comedy. You can see it on YouTube or download it or buy DVDs. It's available however you want to get it. So it's all out there. I find it funny. To the point it was that I was already sort of going to be traveling to Britain anyways, one of my early trips to Britain from California. And I had read about, and this is the days before there was technically internet, but there was no World Wide Web, and no one had heard about the internet. The reason I say that is my dad knew about the internet because he worked for the U.S. Defense Department back when there was some of the early internet elements. So there was technically an internet, but civilians, in a practical sense, outside of a few universities and academics, no one had access to the internet, really. before all of that, read about in some newspapers because they had some English in one of the libraries, I think the Times or whatever, and so I was reading about some of that stuff. And they were announcing that they were going to do a play in London with the cast from the show. So I made sure I went to go see it. If you want to call me a fanboy of it, I mean, I didn't just, oh, well, there's a place, let me buy round trip tickets from Los Angeles to London just to go watch it. No, I was going to be more or less, I was planning a trip that summer to go, and it's going to be playing during this time. So I made sure that I was going to be in London at the time to be able to see the play, as well as this was, I think, my first trip over there, or my second. It may have been my second or something. So I also went to see, I don't know if any of you are Sherlock Holmes fans, but the hand down best Sherlock Holmes was done by Jeremy Brett. Now I know there's several new sort of versions of Holmes that are set in the modern day world, and then there's the old Basil Rathbone Holmes. Well, Basil Rathbone Holmes is sort of an interesting character that fits that time period. These other modern ones are modern interpretations of Sherlock Holmes. I'm talking about Sherlock Holmes as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the work. I've read the complete works of Sherlock Holmes way back when. Well, they also did a TV series that was each episode. Now, yes, you have to take, now they're originally written for the Strand magazine. Some of them were sort of one-off, one magazine story, in it. Others were, done as multi-part chapters that were then later put into into books. So that they reduced down the mysteries to either like a 1 or 2 hour episode. So they're, reduced down, not the full detail, but Jeremy Brett's version of Sherlock Holmes done for television is the best period ever interpretation on screen of the writings of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Yes, I love the there's the American version that's just okay, but Cumberbatch, he does a really cool reinterpretation, and it's a reinterpretation of Holmes, and it's really cool, but that isn't what Sir Arthur Conan Doyle read. But Jeremy Brett another time was doing a play of Sherlock Holmes, and I made sure I saw that way back when, live. So I went to see the Allo play, and this is the mod that I created. I sort of originally wanted to create a Hogan's Heroes mod. What I know now, I probably could have gotten away with it, but since it's set in a prisoner of war camp, and they have at least stated such draconian rules about prisoners of war will not be talked about or part of any mod or anything for Hearts of Iron, sort of put that out. They probably would have tolerated a Sherlock or a Hogan's Heroes comedy mod. I may do one someday still. As many of you may know, and I won't go into it too much, but I have to some degree special leeway on what I do in my mods. At least so long as they're mods, I've sort of been able to do whatever the hell I want to. But don't say anything to anybody on any forums. If you see things in this interpretation, it must be your eyes tricking you. Don't say anything. And if you guys don't make a fuss, we can all have nice things. That's sort of, as one of the moderators said, I guess, and periodically closes threads, I guess we can't have nice things because people either don't pay attention to the rules and start posting either comments or links or images in forums, so they have to come down on them. So if you start posting, oh hey, and I've a few times it's been done, I go very quickly get them to pull the image, because they do a screenshot, and it's a close enough screenshot that it's like this, boom, there's a bunch of these symbols in the screenshot. Yes, we all know what's here, but don't post screenshots that you can clearly see all of this, because that's not approved. And I didn't add this counter. The only counters that I made was this. I made that, which I based off of this. I don't know who, but one of the other Black Ice teams did this. I converted it to a cavalry symbol and asked them, so again, I'm a contributor, not just for my mod, and there's some other events and stuff that I've contributed directly to Black Ice, but one of the things I sort of got them to do is so I didn't have to keep updating it, is to add the cavalry type units, and I supplied that image, which theoretically, because it's a National Socialist or Nazi symbol, but it's the SA one, it's not one that normally gives them heartburn. But just be very careful about posting things. If they're sort of way out like this, you can't really see what it is. It's not a problem. Or if there's an event with whatever, just don't post images. Or, some people have the more historical flag, mark them out. And then we can have nice things. So, like I say, someday I may make a Hogan's Heroes mod. But this is a comedy mod. I don't think I updated it all for this, getting this ready, but I sort of want to see how well it works. It's been years since I played this now, and see if it continues to work with Black Ice. It should, but we will see. But it's meant to be fun jokes, and you get them best if you at least watch some of the episodes of the series. Still, it should be all right if you haven't, but it shouldn't be overwhelming or totally breaking the all this is just too comedy, huge. That shouldn't take over the game, a serious game. But so we're going to see it. I didn't have it the last big German playthrough because I was trying for a more serious thing. But so we're going to have Allo. Do you want to form Gerb's division? HQs, Gebergs, Gerbs, whatever. Yes. And didn't I say yes? Ah, yes, okay. Oh, they're down here. God asked me if I wanted to do... Oh, I think I remember this. Okay, so, well, we got not really divisions, not so much headquarters. Okay, so let's find some... Early on, this will help in our invasion of Yugoslavia. Rengel, he was very much involved in the invasion of Crete. So since we're heading south there, with this, since these guys are disorganized now, might as well get a good mountain commander. That would be acceptable. Kraku? I don't know him though. Let's just see who else. A lot of the ones that I know are already up in the ones that are heading towards Norway. Exler? Yeah, we'll use him. He'll be good. Okay, and let's see. Okay, now I just sort of attached the headquarters, but since well, let's call this 2 dot period, so we don't know. Okay, so we don't get it too confused. Let's see, who can we either promote up, or just if we already have somebody. That would make it good. Heil, we want to move north because he has the winter specialty, which is good for mountain commanders if we're doing northern command, but coming south in here, not so much. Okay, so I want a level 3 or higher. You don't have to have any mountain skills, especially if we're not going to be directly putting them in. Man, he's also good for northern stuff. So we're going to go with him. He has this War Merit Cross. I liked it because you look there and you see supply consumption down by 15% for him, for this, and subunits and whatnot. So now here we have now he affects supply the most. So we want to have somebody with a really like a level 4. Well, let's move in Von Welch, which we actually technically, because he is up at the sort of field marshal type level, we're going to demote him and put him in there. And then see, as you can see, I moved Von Rundstedt here, and I moved Brauhitsch, von Brauhitsch, to the Eastern Command, and I gave Hadler back command in the West. So the plane, you're going to eventually move some of the other ones, and so the command here for moving south is under von Rundstedt. Von Kleisch still here, though he may get changed into a different army later on. And we have List, who was one of the field marshals. There is coming down, and of course now the second Gebirgs. We want to attach. Is he attached to anybody? Yeah, he's going to wrangle to the second Gebirgs. There we go. So, I sent in light infantry just to get some guys that are a little better in the mountains than regular infantry, because all my rest of the mountains are all going north. Like I said, we're getting more play, a lot less of my talking philosophy, but still. And as somebody's pointed out, how a bunch of my other series, Hearts of Iron 4, is also right about this time period, and how it's much lower number. The game just plays faster. Some people will like that speedy play. You know, they get to the meat of it, they go in, they play, they win, they play another game kind of thing. It's a different tempo, but it's also, to me, and so some people may just purely on that level like the different tempo of the game, meaning that it just, you know, plays faster. But I also see it as a maturity of this game is just there's so much more to do. And yes, if you don't like going in and assigning General Wrangel to a command, and you don't like setting up the hierarchy, if you don't like doing that, if it's pure a pain in the ass to you, then you're not going to like this. And I totally understand it. This is why I would like a better auto assign for those who don't want to do it. But I find enjoyment in setting this up. It's, you know, the only thing right now, quite honestly, I'm worried about is not enough happening to make you interested. That's the only thing I'm... Okay, now. You're still naval striking. Okay, I want you to... Let's sort of... we're going to ground attack. I want to do it passive, meaning once you get disrupted enough, stop, just because there's anti-aircraft guns there, so you may get... That's the one I just dealt with. You probably can't reach up there, or can you? No, you can't. That's a thought. Doubt you can either. You probably can. Ground attack, passive. Not that these guys are having trouble with this headquarters unit, but I just want to make sure that we... Okay. We win that fight. Now what we want to do is take the HQ. How many? Okay, we are over the limit, so I don't want to move anymore. Okay, these guys, what we're going to do here is not that big. I just want it, don't want it to include Oslo. There we go. I want to do interdiction. I want them to hit moving units. That's maybe a little more precise than what you need for... yeah. Hearts of Iron 4, but... conviction. We'll just move you to that area there. Disrupt, delay, mess with. Okay, air superiority tactics have advanced. That is good. Here, let's move it to interception so we better, more efficiently intercept bombers and whatnot. What else is up here? Rolling artillery barrages. Okay. That is here, is it? Yes. Move to advanced on that. And we finally got enough to do that, but it's obviously way far forward. But we have a very good general staff. Yeah, we'll do that. This is a cool image. Obviously the aspect ratio has been messed with, but I wouldn't use it because obviously it's from the Das Boot movie. But whatever. I mean, it's not bad. It's just giving you my sort of, okay, well, we either going to get happy times or happy times low, high, or whatever. Okay, the Danzig shipyards. Yes, that's over here. Okay, good. Some really good stuff coming up. Another event brought to me by George 1941. Danzig was vast majority German population, but it was obviously, basically, at least mostly demilitarized. Gdynia, up here, was built as sort of Poland's military naval base to the world. So, and they definitely had Wichchow, I don't know, Switchchow, had been a German back and forth ship manufacturing going on there. But when it's the Free State of Danzig, it isn't all that overly efficient for building ships. We can seize them and upgrade their shipyards for some supplies. Use it once, basically. Set them up for military. So yeah, so we'll get 2 shipyard levels. That's good. Mission to Romania. Yes, we want to do this. Continue production or not. Germany was, you know, this is part of the 5-mark plan that I talked about earlier for producing the KDF car, also obviously known now as the Volkswagen, the people's car, but with the German sort of Volk. Now, as this thing, they were promised that it was going to continue into production, and this was sort of in that period of France is defeated. We're still at war with Britain, but that's a war way out at sea with submarines or some bombers bombing over here, or maybe a few nasty British bombers messing up one of our cities with some bombs, or war out in the colonies somewhere, you know. So we can do this. So we can do good news and continue to manufacture the Volkswagen and actually sort of follow through with the Volkswagen as for civil production, obviously with gas rationing, since whatever. You can see a few pictures of the Volkswagen turned into a sort of military use. I've definitely seen a lot of and saved a bunch of photos of model makers making sort of militarized Volkswagen. Now this basically is turned into, the factory's turned into the Kubelwagen factory, which is sort of the, you know, the military Jeep. The German Jeep, unlike the American one, which Jeep is where the name comes from, is a 4-wheel drive vehicle. The German was a 2-wheel drive rear thing, but it's just made to be so light that it didn't get bogged down in anything but the worst mud of the eastern plains. But do the sort of militarized version, since we already have a whole lot of this. Well, at least to me, it's a whole lot of dissent. But I don't want to give up all that energy and, well, popularity gain. Supplies, 5,000 supplies, got lots of supplies. More worried about some of that. So we're going to go now. We're going to stop production. This is actually what more or less happened. It did, but although they announced that it wasn't. Basically, they announced that it wasn't, and they sort of tried to keep it into production, but then Russia got invaded, and is there ships at sea? Okay. Sweden, energy. Yes, we can give you energy. Yeah, you go across the attack. These guys are coming. How much will get us? Some more troops. We're gonna march back around, and we're going there anyways eventually. How's our carrier doing? Pretty well. Along with that. Yes, motorized engineers. Soviet Union, what do you want? Supplies? Yeah, we want the money. Ooh, all of our liners and some submarines are now available. Well, okay, let's... because we want them to start organizing and upgrading and whatnot. Just because we, I believe, made some technical advances since they started production. No, not donuts. Someone should make another donuts, but make it his son. I presume that there's a photo of him somewhere. He loses his son as he was a captain of a submarine and loses him into the war. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that will be, and I'm gonna leave these guys here. Why, you may ask? Because I think I want to drop them into the Mediterranean once we have a port. That's called cheating. At least I think it's cheating because you can't make them magically appear there. Not in real life. Okay, great. This is just what we're getting ready for. We wanted Arctic warfare equipment. We're heading north into the Arctic in September. We may be, because I didn't do it right by hitting the Operation Weserboing, or however you pronounce it. Right time, Norway may have a lot more national unities, so we may have to take more of their points. Now I want to start doing this because that the jungle warfare is then get the extreme terrain combat bonuses that will spread around to various types of units. So I want to do that. It's not that well, yes, eventually I do want to go down to Tanganyika and whatever. Engineers, yes. So yes, I'm going to head into the jungles, but not anytime soon. Well, 41. Guess that's not so bad. Soon. Okay. Send Betascom, an Italian acronym for Bordeaux Sommergib. Okay, was a submarine base established at Bordeaux by the Italian Regia Marina Italiana during World War II. It's sort of redundant, isn't it? The Italian Royal Marine Sea Italian Navy, but whatever. During World War II. From this base, the Italian submarines participated in the Battle Atlantic, 1940 to 43, part of the Axis anti-shipping campaign against the Allies. The Axis naval cooperation started during the spring, or during the signing of the Pact of Steel in June 1939 with the meeting of Friedrichshafen in Germany, or in Friedrichshafen, an agreement to exchange technical information after the Italian entry into the war. In the fall of France, the Italian Navy established a submarine base at Bordeaux, which was within the German occupation zone. The Italians were allocated a sector of the Atlantic south of Lisbon to patrol. The base was opened in August 1940, and in 41 the captured French passenger ship de Grasse was used as a depot ship before being returned to Vichy French government in June 1942. Okay. Admiral Angelo Paloma commanded the submarines in Baie de Somme under the control of Rear Admiral Karl Donitz. Donitz was Befehlshaber der Unterseeboot for the German Kriegsmarine. About 1,600 men were in Baie de Somme. Okay, so Italy loses some manpower and some supplies, and I think we get some submarines. Ooh, that's a lot of them. Wow. Now, I know I have not been putting, well, I've been building the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, and I got these guys. I've not obviously been building enough submarines, and still not absolutely sure. Well, this is called a flotilla, so just how many of these represent one submarine or 6, I don't know. You know, these guys, they were being vaguely worked on during World War II, but nowhere close. And obviously I've already got the Cross Zeppelin out at sea, so that's completed. I really sort of like the Hearts of Iron. And again, earlier in this episode, which is better, Black Ice Hearts of Iron or this Hearts of, you know, or 3 or 4. No headquarters unit? Okay. Thought they might have donated me an Italian headquarters unit attached to my headquarters unit. Okay, well, I'm not going to send them out as... Well, these are individually named, so these are meant to be individual submarines. Wow, there's a lot of them there. So that's interesting. I'll see about what I want to do with them. But, you know, I just have... This is, like I was saying, why I really love Hearts of Iron 4 is because there's shipyards only build ships. They don't build tanks. They don't build aircraft. I wish there was sort of aircraft factories that only build aircraft. That would, to me, just make sense. But that's hard-coded, they can't do that without massively redoing the engine. I've asked, even before that was released, I've asked. So, no, we can't have that, but I would like that. I think that is a better idea, but because it's really hard to hit some of the production goals. Okay, so got this guy here now. Let's give I think that fully fills up our ships here. If you add the liners in, humans can't use liners for invasion. I think I've said this before. Only transportation to other ports. The AI can't understand that, so they automatically get some hidden tech that allows you to do invasions from liners, because the AI can only see those as an invasion or invasion possibility. Okay, that's just a destroyer. I'm not worried about that now with this Grand Fleet. Okay, we can't quite get there, can we? Can we invade there? No. Well, If we can't get there, we can get here. I wonder what this is. What's in... Well, we can't invade there either. These guys are... Okay, well. Let's go here. Rebase. Get a little closer. Ah, okay. Yes. Like I said, liners can't do invasions. But let's send you up here so that we can, once we get Oslo's, what I want to use is some of these guys here to go into Oslo once we get Oslo as a control port. Let's just air supply. I have troops on board. I probably should remove them. A lot of mud. Okay. Okay, sniper warfare has advanced. Okay, that's good, but we're going to shift it somewhere else. Let's do armor unit training. What are we doing for supplies? I don't want to keep them flying if we got... Okay, we've got plenty of supplies. Supply, local. Yeah, we got plenty. No order. Okay, Switzerland. What do you want? Money for rare materials? Sure. Energy? Sure, you may have energy. Okay, they're counterattacking there. Couldn't sink the convoy. Couldn't attack it. Only one there. Okay, well this has gone on long enough. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.